Welcome. Thank you for joining us for this Teach Out on free speech in sport. I'm Dr. Ketra Armstrong, a professor of sport management and associate dean in the School of Kinesiology here at the University of Michigan. I'm also the faculty athletic representative, and I'm a former Division I student athlete, coach, and administrator. And I research the sociology of sport, notably matters of race and gender. So, sport is what I do. It has been an important part of my life, and I'm excited to share with you the different elements of free speech in sport. Now, sport is a powerful and very pervasive social institution. The cultural, social, economic, the political significance of sport, I'm sure you believe that it's undeniable. And most of us involved in sport to some extent, either actively as a current or former participant, or vicariously as a consumer. We watch sports, we wear sport merchandise, and most of us have a favorite sport team. I'm sure you have a favorite sport team, or you know someone who loves sports. So sport is a very powerful institution that touches all of us in some way. It unites us, it inspires us, and it really challenges us to live the ideals and traditional values of goal setting, determination, perseverance, hard work, teamwork, and unity. And it helps us to balance having victories, but yet overcoming the agony of defeat. And so when we talk about free speech in sport, sport is fundamentally speech. It's fundamentally and inherently expressive. And it has long been used as a platform for speech and expression. So some of you may recall that in 1967, the San Jose football game was postponed because many students were protesting the conditions on campus. Now, the most notable element of activism and free speech in sport is the 1968 protests that occurred during the Olympics. And so sport has long been used as a platform for freedom of speech and expression. But this debate regarding free speech in sport was recently heightened when professional and collegiate athletes, they began to use the platform of sport to overtly express and display their sentiments in protest of the social and racial injustices in society. And these expressions took place at sport events that were nationally televised, and most notably, the expression took place during the playing of the national anthem. And thus, the debate about free speech in sport was reignited. So during this teach out, we're going to talk about a couple of big picture items. We're going to talk about what is free speech in sport. And you're going to learn that speech is performance in sport. There's speech by athletes, speech by fans. Bodily gestures become speech. But we're going to spend the majority of the time during this session answering this question: is sport an appropriate platform for social and political activism? And to answer this question, we're going to have a UM law professor. He's going to talk about the legal implications of free speech, and he's going to situate it in the context of the First Amendment of the Constitution. We're also going to have a political science professor. He's going to talk about free speech as a characteristic of a social movement, and we're going to talk about how this movement that we're seeing in sport is a social movement, and just like the social movements in society. Now, you may be asking, since such of the controversy about free speech in sport is centered around the national anthem, why do we even play the national anthem at sport events? Well, we're going to have a scholar from the University of Michigan who researches the national anthem, and he's going to tell you why. And as a part of the tag team in the same session, you're going to also hear from a veteran who's a lecturer at Michigan, and he's going to share with you how he feels when he sees athletes kneeling during the national anthem. Now, we haven't forgotten about the people from the world of sport. We're also going to bring in a roundtable of athletes from the University of Michigan, and they're going to share with you their experiences and their unique insight as social activists. And you'll also hear from a sport administrator about how do you manage the element of free speech in sport. What are the challenges? What are the responsibilities? Now, you may also be asking, but what about the fans? Well, we have a scholar from the University of Michigan who does research on sport fan behavior. And he's going to share with you the impact of athletes' activism on sport consumption. And he's going to explain to you how fans respond to athletes who are expressing behaviors that the fans may not agree with. And since much of the issues of free speech in sport were heightened because of the professional athletes, we're not going to leave out that perspective from the professional sport team owners. We have a faculty member in sport management here at the University of Michigan who's a consultant to the sport teams. He also does research. And he's going to share with us how owners are managing the intersection of sport, culture, and commercial entertainment. And to engage you in this conversation, there will be some discussion questions to help you reflect on the conversations featured in this Teach Out. I hope you'll find the information enjoyable. I hope you'll find it informative and perhaps even a bit engaging. So thank you again and welcome to the Teach Out on free speech in sport.